Wait. I don't have my speaker on. Nobody can hear the music.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Can you hear music?
I can hear music.
All right, good. Another rough start for the unidentified celebrity review. But it's all good. Because the news is so good. Here we go. How you doing,
I love
Mikey?
that new intro, dude.
Thank you.
And I'm there's something different about you today, and I'm trying to put my finger on it. I can't.
What? Special occasion.
Is it the tie?
Oh, do I have a tie on? Just trying to be serious, you know? Just trying to add a little class to the show.
A little class to the show. I get it.
You know how it goes.
I get it.
Look at this.
I'm digging. Yeah, I'm totally digging
Right?
the.
Totally fun. I just put this together today.
XUAP says it's the tie. You did this today? No.
Yeah. I just put some images over Kevin's music. DOS tapes. Link in the description. Hello. Good morning. Good day. Good evening. Good afternoon. And aloha. Welcome back to another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UAPs and UFOs. My name is Luis Jimenez. The beautiful man beneath me is Michael Mataluni. Thank you so much for coming aboard and getting weird with us. Before we get started, of course, I want to say hey to everyone in the chat. Hello, Thomas. Hello, XUAP. Hello, Gelkrich. Hello, let's see who else is in here. Everything UFOs is in here. We got Explorer Lab chilling in France. Dude, what happened today? Some fun stuff. Ellis.
What's today? Did something happen today?
Something, I don't know. Some stuff happened. Some stuff. Space Cowboy. Howdy, Space Cowboy. Thanks for being here. Carl Vibe. Always a pleasure. All right, you guys. So let's bring in the delicious, the sultry, the ever popular Mr. Jazz Shaw. Jazz, how are you?
I'm here. It's been a long day. It's been a long couple days for the UAP community. You know, it's been interesting, but I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning and going back and forth and having phone calls and emails with people in DC and other places. So yeah, it's been an exciting day. I saw the work you guys were doing earlier, you know, with Tim McMillan and stuff, and it's May is turning into a roller coaster ride.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. I believe they're calling it Miraculous May, Jazz. And so
that's
far,
UFO Jesus. Yeah.
So far,
I agree with him.
It's delivering. It's delivering on all fronts. So I guess let's get right into it. I mean, it's probably, would you say this is one of the biggest developments in UAP since, I don't know, 2017? Is that fair to say?
I'll let Jazz answer that one.
Yeah. I mean, 2017 was huge.
Right.
The stuff that's been going on this year is huge. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer immediately, but I will say something that Tim McMillan has said and other people have said. Some of us who are kind of long in the tooth, we've had big moments like in the 70s, in the mid to late 80s, in the late 90s, you know, where things start to build up and it's like, oh my God, we're just about there. You know, this is it. And then somehow the government finds a way to weasel their way out of it. I do feel at this moment like we're a lot closer to whatever you want to define disclosure as than we have been. And there are really exciting things going on. I hope the younger people in the audience will forgive me if I say that I'm still tempering my expectations.
I think those are wise words, Jazz. There's nothing wrong with tempering the expectations. I mean, look, I think I wrote down a couple of things that I felt were really important that interview that Michael had with Jazz Shaw, or with Tim McMillan, excuse me.
I was in the chat, so you could say
you were in the chat.
Too.
Technically, yeah.
Well, and we spent a good 10 minutes talking about jazz.
Yes, and I was watching. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you did. It's Yeah, it was funny. It was a good moment in the show. But the two things that I wrote down that were quotes from McMillan were that this directive coming out of the Inspector General's office is an evaluation. It's a directive, not an order, or not law. Excuse me, not law. It's a directive. So,
I imagine everybody.
yeah.
I imagine everybody here today who's live already knows what's going down, but maybe there are people who are watching this recorded or who don't know what happened today. You want to give them a quick breakdown, Luis, before we get into what Tim's thoughts on it were?
Well, essentially, the Inspector General, the office came out today and announced that they were going to be launching an evaluation and a directive, basically, to study the UAP issue that's been going on within Congress and the ATIP program and everything with Susan Goff, the whole nine.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Jazz, because I think you probably could decipher this information for better than I can. But what else am I missing out of that description?
Well, you're not missing a lot. There's just so many details. What we got was a memo that was released by the Inspector General's office of the Department of Defense. And it gave a directive to a long laundry list of military adjuncts in the government, saying you have 5 days to assign a person that's going to be the interface with us, and we're going to be doing a review. It's an evaluation. It's not an investigation. The earlier interview that Michael did with Tim made that very clear. This isn't we have a suspicion that a crime has been committed.
Right.
This is a case where we're seeking information, and we want every one of you to, within 5 days, assign a person that's going to collect information about what your different military activities, Army, Navy, Air Force, all the way up to the military intelligence agencies, what activities have you been engaged in gathering information about UAP? So that's very fascinating to all of us. It doesn't mean that anybody is about to go on trial. It doesn't mean that they're about to go, here's the alien bodies. The nature of the IG's office is that it goes and responds to requests if there's more information needed, or in many cases where there might be something wrong. When they do investigations, their primary function is to look for waste, fraud, and abuse of American taxpayer dollars. It's a very important function. That's not what's going on here. They are gathering information where it's weird that the IG is doing this, because if you're coming from the attitude like, oh, now we've got an investigation and they're going to go tell us where the bodies are, that's not the IG's job. They've received complaints from somewhere. The hints we have thus far, it's mostly from the Armed Services Committee, our Armed Forces Committee in the Senate. They want more information to see what's been going on. Have you been operating efficiently? So I think it's a big story. What report they will produce, I've already been in correspondence with the IG's office and with Susan Goff, and I don't want us to get our hopes up too much about what we're going to get out of this, because Susan Goff, as she often does, basically just told me, I will refer you to the IG's office. And that was the same answer I got 3 times in a row. And the IG's office is just like, well, we already said what we had to say. So they're looking into what's been going on inside the military in many different areas. And they're saying, tell us what's happening, assign a point person. Now, the question, Luis, is why? What are they looking to get? Are they trying to find out, as the IG so often does, is somebody wastefully spending money? Have you made bad choices and got the wrong contractors? That's usually what they do. Are they really trying to find out, hey, we want to know about the UFOs? That's really not the IG's job.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting my hopes up a lot. I think they might turn up something. And when I asked them if the results of this report would be public, I was told the same thing Tim was told in slightly different wording, that they don't speculate on what the classification nature of a report they produce will be until they actually have the report. So they're definitely holding their cards close to the vest. We will probably get a report, but they could hold a lot of it back if it affects national security, because they'll be working with the Pentagon on that.
Well, real quick, I just have to give a huge shout out to Travis Roberts, who has $100 donation in the chat.
Are you sure it's $100 this time?
Yeah,
it's
no.
not
Well,
100 dineros?
he said, "One more day to not drive an Uber. I can assure you, this is not Czar."
that was the one. Are you sure it's not Czar?
It's not Czar. It is 100% a real $100 bill.
$100 USD.
And then we also got Mav, who donated another $15. Helping Luis quit his job one super chat at a time. Sorry, the Canadian dollar sucks the big one, bud. Hey, listen. I will suck that Canadian dollar all the way home.
That's not that bad. It's not that. No. I think it's 75 cents on the dollar. I think for the Canadian loonie. So I mean, that's almost
close to $12. I'm thinking. Yeah. Hey,
I was sending money to Christine last week. It's like we all got to do what we can, and just pitch in. So
hey, everybody is definitely sharing the love, and we've got some fun ideas coming that'll help you do that even more, and you're actually getting a little something for it. So we're working on it. But that is coming.
Cool stuff in the background. But
cool
this real quick, this comment was my favorite. Watching Luis try not to pop when the $100 drops is the best thing.
Well, because it's always when someone is in the middle of a very, very wonderful thought, and Jazz was laying out the expectations that we should have for this report, and I didn't want to be like, $100, but let's go back to the expectations, because I think it's important. I'm glad you're getting a kick out of it, Carl.
But before we do, I would say for $100 in most of the places I used to frequent when I was your age, really, Luis should be taking his shirt off right now.
That's not happening.
Or at least a tie, kind of a sexy tie move.
Well, okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll loosen it up. How about that? I loosen up the tie. All right. I just want to match Michael's vibe today. You should have seen. By the way, did you see how good Michael was looking for the debrief stream today?
Oh, I did.
He made everything else look very subpar. It was like everyone's eyes were on Michael, like, oh, look at Michael with the tie. He's looking good. It was nice, man. It was a very dapper moment.
It was interesting because I woke up this morning to our internal feed, kind of like we had news breaking. So I'm like getting jacked up all day. And then I'm like, Tim, we should go live. And he's like, yes, absolutely. And I was like, man, when your boss breaks a story, you gotta wear the tie, you gotta wear the jacket, you gotta look pretty dapper, and it was wild, man. It's been a wild day.
And then Tim shows up dressed like I am.
Right. Right. Which doesn't make me feel too bad about how I show up to this show every day. It's like, well, Tim McMillan could look like that. I could really roll out of bed. And by the way, I'm loving his Wolverine beard with the little white streaks in it. Oh, he looks like he's like in deep cover ops. I would not mess with Tim McMillan looking like that. Okay, so going back to XP, what were you gonna say, Mikey?
Well, I was just gonna say, based on what Jazz was just talking about, and then the conversation that Tim and I had, one of my initial responses, and this is something that we've chatted about today, was, well, is there a possibility that there are people in the IG's ear who are actually more interested in figuring out why they're wasting money chasing UFOs, rather than whether this is something that they're just trying to figure out, where the leaks are, or how we're, attempting to cover this 180-day report. And I was very surprised. Like, Tim was very clear. He did not think that it had anything to do with any sort of concern about the money that's being spent on it. He thought it was this is a really big deal, and so I was kind of blown away by that.
Yeah, I mean McMillan, that's where he started. He's like, this might be bigger than the 180-day report itself,
right?
And that's when I was like, my ears perked up. I was like, oh, say more. The point you were just making earlier, Michael, with what was it? I'm sorry, because I wanted to comment on it real quick.
The whether or not it was just whether they're trying to figure out if they're wasting money.
Correct. Yes, that's what I wanted to touch on. It was $22 million for 5 years, and one senator yelling about it, I don't think is going to move the investigative general or the inspector general to investigate $22 million of wasted funds.
Well, that's
over
ATIP,
5
right?
years.
I wasn't thinking necessarily they were going back to ATIP. I was thinking maybe they're looking at the UAP TF. The UAP
how big could that budget be? Even if it was even if it was double the ATIP budget, that is nothing. It's not enough for I don't think it's enough for the inspector general to send out that memo and sort of shoot a shot across the bow, letting everyone in these departments know, hey, by the way, I'm stopping by and I'm gonna be expecting some answers.
Hey man, all I know is I don't know shit. And when somebody like Tim McMillan says, no, dude, like this is big, I'm like, big. Okay, I'm gonna listen.
Right. No, I mean,
can I interject? Even if
please,
I'm like a rain shower on everybody's rainbow parade.
Do it.
I'm not discounting any of that. That's all possible. Tim's a smart guy. I've known Tim for quite a while. But we do have to remember what the IG is and what it does.
Yeah, break that down for us, please, James.
Yeah, please do.
So there are other possibilities that have been raised by people that have been talking about it today that are very possible. It's not a matter of the 22 million that was appropriated for ATIP for 5 years. Okay. Right now, ATIP is gone. It's been gone. We know that. Mm-hmm. And now we have the UAP task force. Now there are people in multiple agencies who have been assigned to participate in the UAP task force, which to our knowledge, at least from what we've heard, has no budget. There's nobody spending any money on this. These are people that have other assignments, and they're working inside of the Pentagon. And perhaps in addition to their other duties, they're also doing these things. So the question that has been raised is, was there someone, for whatever reason, we don't need to sit here and speculate why they might want to be opposed to this, might have come up and said, we'd like to talk to the IG because there's all this work going on by people that are being paid on the taxpayer dime who are now investigating flying saucers or little green aliens or something. And what's the real job they're supposed to be doing? And we have Rand Paul, who came up, and I'll say this even for those of you who don't follow the topic closely, who came out not too long ago and said, why are we wasting money on, UFOs and little green aliens, Right. And if somebody that was Rand Paul or somebody like Rand Paul, or I'll just toss it out there, somebody who thinks it's all demons or something, because Tim talked about that, said, why are we having the Pentagon wasting time on this? Because maybe it's not directly appropriated cash, but we do have people that are supposed to be doing the jobs you're getting paid to do with our taxpayer dollars. And why are you overlooking into little green men and flying saucers? So I'm just saying there is room to consider the possibility that there was a complaint raised, and that would put it in the IG's ballpark because they look for waste, fraud, and abuse. And if there are people who have jobs that they're supposed to be doing for the military and they're out investigating UAP, if other people don't feel that's a valid expenditure of time, that maybe they could do an investigation and say, hey, why are we paying these guys all this time if they're not doing radar analysis, if they're not doing engine design for ships, if they're not doing this, and they're looking into UAP?
Right. And I mean, there's an alternate argument to be made for somebody like, Marco Rubio, who's on the Senate Intelligence Committee, right? And him going to the IG and being like, why, I don't see any movement on the 180-day report. And Tim kind of shot that down for me too. He was like, well, I don't think it has anything to do with that, but who knows, right? And so if you've got Marco Rubio going to the IG saying, these things are turning off our nukes, that might be a very different perspective and response from the IG. So it's all quite curious, isn't it?
But isn't that going back to the point that all three of us were just discussing? If there is a different presence, maybe it's the Russians, maybe it's the Chinese, maybe it's the Venusians, who knows, that's showing up and going into our restricted airspace, that's in some cases, so many reports, impeding our nuclear capabilities, doing things that we would never allow if we knew it was from an adversary. We'd want to know about that. But is that the IG's job? The IG does waste, fraud, and abuse. We have agencies, intelligence agencies, that are supposed to be keeping track of the Russians, keeping track of the Chinese, keeping track of North Korea and Iran, that are supposed to be on top of this. And if you've got a question about that, that's who you go to.
But it's also,
doesn't
the IG, aren't they also responsible for efficiency and communication between these departments?
Efficiency, yes, definitely efficiency. Communication is part of that. I agree with you. And I'm not saying it's not what they're doing. They might be extending their reach. Like, are you really efficiently communicating on UAPs? For all I know, maybe somebody's convinced them to look into this for the reasons that I won't include you two. The reasons I would like them to be looking into it, and a lot of people interested in the UAP topic would like to have them be looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. But the history of the IG, it's like, if the question was, hey, are there Russians coming and flying over our nuclear facilities? Who's your go-to people? I'm telling you, the Inspector General is at the bottom of the damn list. You're going to the intelligence community. You're not going and asking the Inspector General to go, wait a minute, are the Russians shutting down our nukes? That's not the IG's job. So if they've got incorporated into this, I hope that's the best explanation I can give everybody watching as to why I'm thinking, this might not be as good of a thing as some of us are hoping. And if it does turn out to be a case that they're investigating it for the usual reasons that the IG investigates anything, there might be somebody out there who's kind of sympathetic to Rand Paul and going, hey, dude, why are you spending our money looking for aliens? That's not real. I'm not saying that's an opinion I agree with, obviously. Right. But I just don't think it's as clear cut as Tim was making it out. And he wasn't saying he knew definitively. But I mean, our opinions, I leave a little more room at this point to say that the IG doing an investigation might be a good thing for people who are interested in ending UAP secrecy. It could also turn out to be something very different. Just my take.
Right. Right.
Well, let me ask you this, Jazz. What is the best case scenario for, especially people watching this show? I mean, look, I think the headline's going to be Inspector General, is looking into UAPs. And so everyone outside of this community is going to hear that. And again, coupled with the New Yorker, the Post, the videos, all of this. And now you're talking, this is a really big wave of new information that's not happening in the Trump era, so things aren't as distracting. And I feel like even if it's I don't want to call this a nothing burger, but if it turns out to be that, I think this is still a very big step in letting the masses know that our government is actually taking this seriously. But just if you can, what would be the best case scenario that could come out of this situation?
Before we get to the best case scenario, I'll go to the medium case scenario.
Okay.
Exactly what you just said. We had a thing from the New Yorker we were discussing earlier this week.
Right.
And I know that there were many of us who are steeped in the topic who read that New Yorker piece, and we were like, well, we knew most of that, and there's some new interesting tidbits, people to ask questions of. Nothing really huge. But it's really great news for the public when they start seeing outlets like the New Yorker, like the New York Times, the New York Post, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, CNN, everybody doing these things. And they're going, oh, wait a minute. Maybe this isn't just crazy people. There's a really good, at least intriguing story here. So that was really great. What's the best case scenario out of what's going on right now? If the IG has launched into something and this is my own personal theory, I've asked questions of people, I have not gotten answers, that members of the Senate Armed Forces Committee were unhappy with how this was being handled. And part of that unhappiness might be because a lot of people called, and I'm not saying that the big phone home was the only reason for it, although it probably was. That a lot of them
what you really think, Jazz? Do you really think the big phone home could have had an impact on this?
I do think that there's been enough news coverage that a lot of people that might have not been aware of the big phone home were also asking these questions. But in a short period of time, we had a huge number of people, including everybody here on this discussion, but everybody else who's listening to us, that went and started banging on their own senators, their own congressional representatives, the member of these committees. I was contacting all of them, and that got magnified in a large way. When did that happen? And now compare the amount of time between when that happened and yesterday, when the letter was drafted, and when Tim McMillan went and checked and said, yeah, they got a lot of feedback from the Senate Armed Forces Committee. All of those senators who had been getting hammered by people who may or may have not been participating in the big phone home. In that short period of time, suddenly, nobody had ever heard from the IG being involved in this. And suddenly, boom, that letter comes out. It doesn't come out privately where we have to search it out by FOIA. It comes out right on their website.
Right.
And I don't know for a fact that the senators were getting hammered about this, and then suddenly they started hammering the IG, and the IG put this out, not privately, right on their website. So, can I prove that? No. But I have a sneaking suspicion that they got a lot of bugs in their ear, and those people control the funding for the entire Pentagon. And if they get upset because their constituents are upset, or not even upset, curious, wanting to know answers, hey, we pay your salary, we deserve to have answers. And they all pick up the phone and they call the IG and go, dude, we're screwed. There's a lot of angry people out there. Help us out. Is that really such an irrational explanation for what happened?
It's not irrational at all.
Not at
Did you guys see the Bloomberg opinion piece that came out today?
I did not, but let me just real quick, because Andrew Hall had a question. He's a friend of the show. I want to try and get this out there. Just want to throw this thought out there. Has anyone talked about the possibility or about this possibly having something to do with Reed being stonewalled by Lockheed?
That's
Harry Reid?
Interesting.
Yeah. Like the story of Harry Reid coming out being stonewalled by Lockheed maybe was the sort of the antithesis or the tipping point for the Inspector General to maybe write this letter, and on top of all the other things that we talked about.
It's an interesting connection. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily see where the dots connect specifically, but
no, I would actually lean towards the opposite, and I don't want to disagree with Andrew, but
Yeah.
I've heard Harry Reid say a lot of things over the years where he's not coming out and definitively saying, I know or I've seen, because he has obligations. He's taken oaths. When Harry Reid says something like that, I don't feel like Harry Reid was being stonewalled. I feel like he knows things, but he can't talk about them yet.
Right.
That's just my take.
Just want to say, I want to say hey to Renan Mascusi, who donated €5. Is that euros?
Euros, yeah.
Keep up the amazing work. Thank you for all the hard work, and thank you, Renan. Thank you, all you guys.
Euros. That's like $1,700.
I wish. I mean, I can tell you,
I'm an expert on European economics.
It's like $5.50, but
And speaking of, guys,
Or
if you guys don't know, we have a Patreon. Check out my Linktree in the description below. It's a Patreon that's open to everybody, no matter what you can donate, $0 or $500,000 a month. So to all you guys that can't contribute to the chat, maybe check out the Patreon, and there might be a tier in there that works for you. And if none of the tiers work for you, don't worry, you're not going to miss out on any content. All of this content is free. It comes out at the same time for everyone, no matter how much you pay. So thank you guys for supporting the show. It's incredible. I just had to say that.
Yeah. So Bloomberg, byline Tyler Cohen, put out an article today. May the 4th be with you, everyone, by the way. Yeah. If the Pentagon takes UFOs seriously, so should markets. The possibility of alien life on Earth has implications for the entire human race, including investors. Like the fact,
I did see
silly.
That. Yeah,
I know it seems silly, but when the markets start to take things seriously, shit's heating up.
It's trending. But there's no hashtag for it. But it is in the news because partly there's nothing else going on right now news-wise, and they're bored out of their mind, and they don't have a distraction in the executive branch to pay attention to every day, so they need something to fill those 24 hours news cycles. So now you've got Bloomberg, you got the Post, and I'm sure we're going to get we still haven't even seen our 60 Minutes interview. Tomorrow, Christopher Mellon goes on Joe Rogan. I don't even know how we're going to fit that into tomorrow's show, because tomorrow we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of The Skinwalker on History Channel. So I have no idea how we're going to fit the Joe Rogan discussion into tomorrow's show. But every day something's happening.
Put in a promo for the Skinwalker show.
Yeah.
Everybody watch that tonight, because I'm going to be ducking out of this before that begins, because I'm going to be watching the Skinwalker. And everybody, if you miss it tonight, catch it on the replay, because I think it's going to be some exciting stuff.
Oh, so Michael, you a little more excited to watch it tonight?
I'm pretty excited. I'm worried for my wife. Like the fact that I'm gonna have to make my wife watch it with me. That's who I'm most concerned about.
Well, is there any shows that she makes you watch? So it's
that the answer is yes, and I will absolutely ensure that I use that. So
you've got that card to pull. It's like, we do watch The Bachelor, and there's I don't know, a new Bachelor every 12 minutes.
Oh no, she
I got the
weirdest
email when I woke up yesterday morning. I just want to share with you guys really briefly.
Yeah,
I'm married to someone who is of a very different political identity to me. We've been together for a quarter century.
Jazz, hold on 1 second. One day you have to promise she's got to be on the show. I would love to have her on one day.
I doubt it, but I'll ask.
Give it a shot.
But pushing her statist agenda.
She was up late and couldn't sleep and sent me an email. And like everybody else, we have stuff going on, with the pandemic and being homeowners and all that stuff. And it's like, just some thoughts was like the subject line of the email. I opened it up, and she had sent me a 17-paragraph email about Skinwalker Ranch and about whether or not there was any data for She has tolerated my hobbies about wondering about UAP and things like that. In the last few years, we had 2 sightings in November that really, I think, turned her around. And so I got up and I was like, oh my God, what is this email about? Some thoughts. Am I in trouble? What did I do wrong? And she sent me this. Because I do a lot of shit wrong.
Was it labeled jazz?
It might as well have been. But it was entirely this long. She was up in the middle of the night and couldn't sleep and sent me this long thing with all these specific questions about, what do you think happened at Skinwalker Ranch? Did they really have Bigfoot? Were there UFOs? And I think since she had her UFO sighting, she's just like completely turned around. And what used to be my crazy hobby that made money for us, she's now like
into,
wow, shit's going down.
Yeah, that's really cool. But
I just wanted to share that.
Jazz, that has got to be There's nothing more horrifying than getting an email from your spouse that says "my thoughts" as the subject.
Exactly. Because I was like, okay, what's the alimony going to be?
Yeah. Just start writing the check now. Jazz, there's a question in the chat for you, and I meant to ask you this yesterday. Last week, you had mentioned that there was a big news story that was coming. Was that the New Yorker? Was that anything that has popped recently, or is that still coming?
No, that was not the story from the New Yorker. And I kind of, at this point, now we're talking about it in public. I thought we were mostly talking in private. I do not have the details of that.
Okay. No, we don't want details. We just, because you did say on the show live, when we were live, you said, I'll buy you a bottle of the finest alcohol. Yep. And so I'm curious that the story that's related. Yet. Okay, cool.
It has not happened yet.
So Miraculous May has still got some tricks.
I just talked to the primary player that's involved in that this morning, and the negotiations are ongoing. It involves an interview that hasn't happened yet, but it is being negotiated, and I hope it does happen. I can't 100% guarantee it will, but it looks like it's on the table. I don't know what's going to come out of it in specific detail for sure, but I was really excited about what I heard. I would say at the most, you have no more than 2 weeks to wait. If it's going to happen, it's going to be in the next 2 weeks, and it will be Miraculous May. Yes.
Wow.
Wow. So guys, stay tuned to this channel. You guys are killing it tonight in this chat. I love you guys. Okay, so James McDonald's donates $20. He says, I never miss a video, and I genuinely appreciate all the hard work you guys put into the rest of us can take part in discussing topics we're absolutely fascinated by. Please keep it up. # John Hammis Fletch.
Wow.
John James McDonald, thank you so damn much, man. Who's John Hammis Fletch?
# John Hammis Fletch. I don't
know what that means.
Let's see if that's trending. Look at Moose 1911 with
I am
donation.
so out of trending things that I have no idea. I mean, that could be like somebody on Survivor for all I know, but I'm sure it's somebody great.
Another donation, $5. Love what you guys and gals are doing. Don't take your foot off the gas. Can you talk about and also find out about the pyramids, if the pyramids made any noise?
Oh, cool
question.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I haven't heard anything about noise or noiseless, because I don't think there's been any testimony from the men who were there. Am I incorrect in that?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, no, nothing.
We're waiting for that. I've written a couple
from
articles about that, and great video, great anonymous sources, and I talked to Jeremy Corbell about that. And I think it's a building block that we may get more information later in this era of more openness. I think what we're waiting for is more sailor, pilot, etc. testimony that we have, like we had with the Nimitz encounters and the Roosevelt. If we get that for the pyramid stuff, then I think that builds the bridges and people start to do better with that. Can you put me backstage for a minute, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, look at this. Aaron DeSario, $25 chat. I got you on Patreon, Lou. Send us the mic and buy him a dinner for being here every day. You know what? We've already sent Michael some very nice pastries.
And empanadas.
And also, look, you guys, trust me when I tell you, Michael is in the long-term plans for this show. We've worked out the details, and I'm telling you, dude, this show's only growing every day. The more you guys share, the more you subscribe, the more you like, the more you donate, the more you watch. It puts me in algorithms, and I get more fans like you guys who are passionate about this show, and I am passionate that you are passionate about this show. So share the hell out of it, because if we can get 3,000 people in this stream, by the end of the next year or this year, then we could start paying Michael. We could start paying me. We could be here we're going to be here full time, whether or not we get paid. But of course, that makes our lives much, much easier. And this makes it a lot more fun when we don't have to go do other things, and we could just concentrate on the show every day. Which, by the way, tomorrow, again, we're reviewing Skinwalker. And then on Thursday, we're going live on Michael's channel. So, Michael, right real quick, while Jazz is doing his thing, you want to tell the folks about that? Yeah, man. Thursday, we're going to be, I'm rebranding my channel, and we're going to be talking, look at that, another one. Jesus Christ, man. You guys are killing it. Thursday. So we're going to be launching the Singularity Lab. Lou's going to be joining me over there every Tuesday and Thursday. And so for those of you who have fascination with UAPs, but like other things as well, breaking technology, breaking science, breaking news that is exploding onto the scene, you're going to want to follow us at the Singularity Lab. You can follow my Linktree right now and actually go over and subscribe right now. It's actually called Cocktails and Calamity, I think, on the Linktree, but that's going to be changing to the Singularity Lab as soon as we get off this show. Sweet. Yeah, you forgot to do it today. So Anonymous Rex says, look forward to talking with you guys about my sighting and all the UFO UAP news coming. Thank you. By the way, we're taking calls at the end of this show. So if you guys want to stick around, call in, ask us some questions. You're more than welcome to do it. Well, I guess we'll wait for Jazz to come back in here. But I mean, so Mikey, talking to Tim McMillan. I forgot. So you know who Anonymous Rex is, right? Yeah. He's been getting in touch with you. He's got a story, and we got to get him on the show. And so, you've got the calendar now, right? Well, I've got a calendar. I mean, Rex, you can go on our calendar and make an appointment in my calendar. We have every Monday and Friday open. Don't make an appointment for this Monday. I think next Monday's taken, but other than that, it's pretty wide open. And you could set your schedule in there, and you could book the whole 3 hours if you want to hang. So check out my Linktree. The calendar, I think, is the second thing right under the Patreon. First, visit the Patreon, see if you got the guts, and then go to the calendar and request an interview. By the way, that's open to anybody. Anybody wants to come on the show and hang out, and you've got a really good reason to be here, we'll have you on the show. No problem at all. And we, like I said, we always open the end of the shows to phone calls. So either way, you could come on the show. You can interact with us. You don't have to be a Patreon. You don't have to be any of that stuff. You just got to be watching, and you can come hang out with us. We're going to be sending the link probably in the next half hour or so. So stay tuned on that. But talking to McMillan today, Mike, what was the sense that you got from him? Like, what was, you were talking to him. He wrote the article. It's his scoop. It's a fantastic piece of journalism. You got to give your hats off to the Debrief. They really, really knocked this one out of the park. I think he set the expectations very nicely right at the top of the interview, but then backed it with, this is big. Like, this is a very significant moment. And I don't think, at least the feeling I was getting is, I don't think people are realizing the significance of this. And I know Jazz is kind of peeing on some parades, but Jazz is he's been doing this for a long, long time. And you got to understand, Jazz has seen things that are, I don't think the exact same things that we've been seeing in maybe the last 5 years, but close. And every time they think they're getting a taste, they pull the rug right out from under them, and it gets hidden behind secrecy for another 10 or 15 years. So, I don't think he's trying to discourage people or upset anyone. He's just giving you the realist point of view. And we, look, the lower we manage these expectations, the better it will be for us. The lower, the better. Manage them as low as you can, so that way when the Inspector General's like, okay, we've actually got something here, American people, then we can start freaking out. But according to McMillan, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're not getting videos, we're not getting photo, and we're not getting data from this. So all of that goes out the window. That will come from the UAP report. But as we've been learning, that it sounds like it's going to be delayed with a preliminary report in the meantime, and then we're going to get something in another 180 days. But you tell me, Mikey, you were there, you were interviewing them. What was your sort of feeling that you were getting?
Two things that were very interesting that Tim said. Number one was to try to disconnect the 180-day report and this from your mind. He believes that these are two very different things. He believes they're hardly connected, because that was one of my questions to him. I said, do you think that the 180-day report, do you think there are congressional leaders who are looking to the Pentagon and going, they're not going to have it, they're not going to do it, it's not going to be in time, this is not going to happen? Do you think those folks are, the ones who approached the IG and they were pushing for it? And he didn't think so. And then he did say, don't expect to see anything from this report. But what he did say was the fact that not the report, the evaluation. He said, but the fact that they are doing this, and the fact that this has been sent out to all of these, I think 9 different departments within the government got this letter, and they're to put a point person on this from the military or a senior person in all of these offices, and they are to report directly to the IG, and that is what he says is a big deal. But it shouldn't be confused with the 180-day report, and you shouldn't expect to be hearing anything directly from the IG. Yeah. So when it comes to that, yeah, definitely manage those expectations. But the fact that this is happening means something. What it means, we don't know. We can only speculate. I totally get Jazz's perspective. We've been here before. We've seen this sort of stuff before, and then all of a sudden it fades away. I think it's different this time, honestly, and I think it's because there's so much good reporting going on this subject. There's so many good magazines. There's so many good journals that are reporting on this now, that I don't see this going away anytime soon. And I wonder, as Jazz said earlier, if that's the reason that we've seen this, because the media has grabbed a hold of the story and they're not letting go.
I agree with Michael. I think a big part of it is the media grabbing onto it. I think another big part of it, and I don't want to keep tooting Luis's horn here, but I don't think members of Congress, and there clearly are members in the Senate and the House who are pushing on this, I don't think that would have happened if there wasn't a citizen uprising. And I don't mean uprising like an armed revolt. I mean, right. I think people are asking questions. They are going and they are phoning and they are emailing, and asking their representatives. And these people, they only keep their jobs if they keep getting elected. I know that sounds crass, but that's how politics works.
Yeah.
And if they get enough pressure, and particularly the people on the Senate Armed Forces Committee, if their staffers got enough calls in a short period of time, then they're going to do something, because they understand that life does not revolve just around campaign donations. It revolves around the people who vote for you. Right. And they've been hearing from people. And I think the stuff we've been doing, the stuff that other outlets have been doing, the engagement in the mainstream media, and people are watching these reports, and they're on CNN, they're on Fox, they're on the various outlets, and they're picking up the phone and they're going, hey, I thought this was all garbage. What the hell's going on? The Pentagon's doing this? They're getting those questions. And I really do believe that people are the biggest driver of what's going on right now. And the fact that we're seeing these questions being raised in Senate committees anti-IG, all that. That's not because the government's suddenly more honest. I'm sorry, the government's been lying to us forever. But these people who rely on your votes so that they can have a job for another 2 or 6 years, depending which chamber they're in. Yeah, you guys, every one of you watching, every one of you who picked up a phone and made a call, every one of you who sent an email, you're the ones who did this. It wasn't us. It wasn't Luis and Michael and me. It was you.
Yeah. I mean, thank you, Jazz. Honestly, like I love that you have a passion for what we're trying to do here, and that you believe it. Because I think, man, it's such a lot of people don't believe in democracy anymore, and I think this is a really great way to test if democracy still works. Because if you can get a bunch of people asking about this and things start changing, there's no way to prove. And this is something we talked about today, Michael, and how we could track people on the next big phone home, as like a telethon did, like, where for every dollar you raise, you see like a little thermometer go up as they raise more money. And it should be the same thing with the big phone home, where we can somehow digitally tie your activism to this chart that shows how many people are actually interacting with their government. And I think that people see that, it encourages them to pick up and go, oh, damn, they need more. Let's call. Let's go. So, I mean, next year, dude, this is going to get really silly as far as that is concerned. But, man, I got to say thank you, Jazz, because you're here every damn day and you really believe in this shit. Like, you live this topic, and I can tell because you're dripping with it every time you come on this show. So
it's where I am right now, Louis.
Hey.
I mean, I'm approaching retirement. I've been working in journalism for a long time, but I covered most of my career. I covered like energy policy, things like that. At this point, and I've told a number of people in the media who have spoken to me about this. At this point, this is my driving force. This is the one thing at the end of my career that I want to do, that I want to have an impact on. And if that costs me in terms of my audience, people that would rather hear me talk about whether we should get out of Afghanistan or whether we should have a ban on fracking or something, I no longer care. This is my driving force. This is what I focus on. Yeah. And I still cover all the other stuff, but I mean, this is what I'm passionate about. And I really appreciate just people like you guys that are out there who are younger, who are still really energetic when I'm an old guy who has a hard time getting off the porch in the morning sometimes, and
are you passing out on your porch?
This is really important. No, I don't think so. I just fall down.
Oh no. No, he's being serious. Look at his face. He's just like, I just fall down. You're making me feel bad, Jazz. I was making a joke about you waking up on the porch.
Knees. I have really bad knees, and sometimes you go out there.
Yeah.
When you get to my age, dude, if I'm still alive, come back and try to laugh at me. Sometimes when you get in your 60s, shit starts breaking down.
Hey,
bro,
man, that's every human
too, man. I'm feeling the world, brother.
It's coming. It's coming.
Hey, just real quick, I had a quick housekeeping thing. So folks were saying that they were trying to follow my channel and said it was made for kids and they couldn't do the notifications. So you probably found my personal channel, which I just changed, so it's not made for kids. So you can ring the bell there, but it's actually my actual channel. If you in the link tree in the description, click on that link tree. And then click on that first link, and it'll take you to my actual channel that we're going to be launching the Singularity Lab app. But I just want to make sure you guys knew that. And I got to give it to Jazz, man. I mean, this is something that he is incredibly passionate about, and it's something that people want answers to. And I applaud you, Jazz, for staying after it because there's some really important things here. And again, I had this fantastic call today with Tim McMillan, and one of the things that I loved about what Tim kind of brought to the table was this idea that, there's something real going on here. And yes, we're going to see bad headlines, and we're going to see things that take people down the wrong trail, and we're going to see retractions, and we're going to have all kinds of problems when it comes to that sort of stuff. A lot of these things are drones and will be confused as drones, but there is a piece of this puzzle that is completely unaccounted for.
It's a diamond in the rough.
It's a diamond in the rough, and
it's what
it is out there, and it's keeps happening. And this idea that it's just this or just that, you can easily break down the whole argument by chopping at the 98%. But that 2%, man, it's real and it's there. We got to get to the bottom of it.
For sure. And before we go on, Katie Foster donated €5, lire? Not sure. To those worrying that this is just like it happened last century, keep in mind, and I think this is for you, Jazz, is just keep your head up. In those days, people didn't have the internet and smartphones. And I think her point is that she's saying it's a much easier world. It's a smaller world than it was back in 60 or 70 or 80 or even 1990.
Right.
And it's easier for us to connect. It's easier for us to do things like the big phone home and come together on common ground. And we were talking today with Michael, like, we got to remember, especially everyone that's watching this show, the big phone home is not a day. Think of it as a state of mind. You can do it every single day. There's every day. The more you do it, and what's funny, I just had a conversation with a gentleman in his shop. I'm having a huge brain fart right now, but I retweet him all the time, and he's always filming himself calling Congress, and he's calling every single day, and it's awesome, and he does it live. I'm like, dude, that is the best thing you could do. But what he told me that I found incredibly interesting was, like, after that first phone call, I felt really good. Like, I felt like I could have stopped right there, and I would have felt like I had a very constructive day. Like I'd done enough. And it's true. You call your representative, and as soon as you hang up the phone, you're like, yeah, I can. That's easy. That's actually feel good. It's almost like walking out of church or going to temple or whatever, and you feel like you're like, all right, I got that done, and actually I feel pretty good, so just keep that in mind. It's a state of mind. It's not a day. You don't have to wait till next year. We've got the momentum on our side right now. You got the Inspector General, you got the New York Post, you got the New Yorker, you've got, again, Christopher Mellon is probably having a 2 to 3 hour interview tomorrow with Joe Rogan. God knows what's going to be said in that. Michael had an insane interview today with Tim McMillan. The momentum's on our side. So it's up to us to look in the mirror and really decide how bad we want this. So the thing I want...
That's it, Luis.
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it?
And everybody has to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. And if there's anybody else out there, if we spend the whole night sitting here and talking, and we reach one of you that has never picked up the phone, sat down at your laptop, contacted your representatives, contacted local media, hugely important, even opposed to CNN, the Washington Post, and all that stuff. Get people in your community talking about it. If we reach one of you and you reach out and you add that voice, then you are the ones who make the difference. And for everybody asking about donations, anybody interested in donating to me, I'm actually already set up with my retirement. So please send your money to Luis and Michael and, anybody else. I'm good. But I want to support these guys. I want you to support these guys. But mostly, I want you to make a difference. I want you to get out there and raise your voices and say, you know what? We're the people who pay for the goddamn government in this country. And if you're doing this shit, then you need to tell us about it. Because it's not a national security issue. If it's something really bizarre, share it with us. Let's all make this decision together. You get up there and you tell them, we're tired of your crap. And if you don't want to play along, then we'll hire somebody else who will do it. That's all I have to say. And guys, I'm sorry, I'm out of time for tonight. But that's my closing word that I wanted to add to the community.
And he
Who
sticks
needs
the
a
landing.
McGowan mouth off?
Yeah.
We don't need a.
I was just thinking. I'm like,
right here.
we need a Jazz Shaw mouth off. Like, we need an opinion piece every day from you. I think. Jazz, thank you for coming by. Thank you for sticking the landing like you always do, sir. It's always fun, man. It's always a damn good time when you come on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Jazz.
We really love you, man. So
and remember, everybody, it's all dolphins.
It's all dolphins, and we'll see you tomorrow for Skinwalker review. Because I can't wait to get your view on it.
We're doing that. We're doing that, brother.
Every Wednesday. Yeah, I can't wait. All right, Jazz, we'll see you soon, dude.
Take care.
Bye. Woo. I love that man. Love him. And I think you guys in the chat also love him because, I mean, you're just showing it. Jazz is a champion. Rock on, brother. Jazz, namaste. Smooth Jazz. Travis is on point. What did Travis say? Yeah, there you go. Brandy Phillips, dude. You guys are absolutely destroying this chat. I'm blown away every time we do a show. How much you guys are throwing your cash at us like this is a strip club in Tampa Bay. So, dude, okay. Let's talk about a little bit what happened on Twitter today, because we're gonna have some interesting things, right? So the first thing I want to point out is a tweet from Mick West. Good old Mick. So Mick released this. Let's just go ahead and read it. Comparing the DoD's UAP evaluation memo to another memo from this year, it's almost entirely boilerplate. Yellow. If only a copy of sentences have much meaning, the objective and the list of the offices. So basically he's trying to show here that, these memorandums come out all the time from the Inspector General, and all they did was change what's in red. Everything else in yellow is pretty much the exact same word for word. And when I saw this, I was like, mother bleep, right? I was like, oh, that son of a bitch. But then I was like, wait a second. This is exactly what government would do with this. Like, first of all, they're lazy and or / efficient, whichever way you want to look at this, okay? If it's something that they're trying to do that is a normal boilerplate thing, why would they not make it boilerplate and draw more attention to something that they probably don't want more attention on? So
what was the difference, Louis? Like, what are we talking about? What was this released for on on March 29th?
March 29th, this is an evaluation of the Department of Defense reform and privatized military housing oversight related to health, safety, and environmental hazards.
Got it.
So it's it's basically they're doing oversight related to housing and health. And so that's the subject line. On ours, it's evaluation of DoD's actions regarding the unidentified aerial phenomena. They're both evaluations.
Right.
So there's a boilerplate response for evaluation, so whoever the secretary is doesn't have to type this shit out every time, Mick, and they just plug in what they're doing. And it was so funny because this is exactly what Mick does to rile us up. And I see where he's going with this, but I know, and I wish I would have asked Mick on this show today.
Oh my God.
Because he would have come on. I just know that this is trolling us. He's looking for us to go, well, damn you, Mick. I wrote to him, I'm like, just looks kind of lazy. Just have fun with him back. I'm telling you, it's the way to go when you're dealing with Mick. But I just, of course, man, dude, this is smart. This is why I like Mick. Like, because he can find stuff like this same day. And it's like, oh, God damn you, Mick. Like, why are you doing this? But at the same time, you're not really making a point here.
Like, it's hilarious.
It is funny.
It is.
It's funny.
Well, and just to your point, like that, like even though the amount of work he had to do this was probably, I don't know, maybe 17 minutes ish. But I bet you he trolled the shit out of the community. He got a lot of responses. It was retweeted 11 times.
It was retweeted 11 times and liked 33. Like, I mean, dude, he's trolling you, man. He's trolling you. Like, he's like, if you just look at him as like a very dry comedian, you'll start to find the stuff he's doing hilarious. It's funny because we talked about it on the Big Phone Home. Like there's no good faith on his side. There's no room for nuance. He's convinced that he's right.
Right.
And it's just, I think the difference between him and us is if we found out tomorrow that this was just U.S. tech or some, again, just like a weather phenomena on the same realm of an earthquake or lightning when people didn't understand those things. And maybe what we're looking at is just something like that. If that came out tomorrow, I'd be okay with that. Like, it wouldn't end my life. I think we'd still have more stuff to talk about, if anything, because now we've gotten a piece of the answer. Now the question is, does that phenomena apply to everything that we're talking about?
I think that's the thing, and I think that's what makes this conversation so weird, right? It's because there's no smoking gun that's going to convince anybody 100% in either direction. So if you're somebody who absolutely believes this is all natural and or human-made phenomenon, human-made tech or natural phenomenon, or if you believe this is extraterrestrials or interdimensionals or whatever, there's nothing from either side that's going to convince you. So it doesn't matter. I mean, that's kind of my point. It's like if something came out tomorrow to, it would only convince one side. It's not going to convince everybody. I don't think it's possible.
I would be curious, though. What would it take for Mick to go, okay, I was wrong?
You'd have to bring a fucking...
I honestly don't even believe he would accept it if the White House with the president himself wheeled out the body, took off the tarp and said, there you go. Like, I don't think even then he would believe it. I think he'd find something to go, no, this is just a standard boilerplate response to, whatever. Like, he would find something like, he would probably whip out the footage of the governor from Arizona coming out in the alien costume, when the Phoenix Lights happened. But it's just like,
kind of my point. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if there's anything that could convince either side, which is why I think you have to be open-minded to either possibility. Right. Like, I was getting shit the other day because people were like, I can tell Michael believes something, but he's pretending like he's playing it up for the skeptics. And it's like, well, no, like, I'm playing it up for my own skepticism. Like, I'm both. Like, I have an open mind, but I'm also skeptical of the evidence, because it's very difficult to ensure that the evidence is 100% accurate. It's just a really difficult thing to pinpoint. I don't know if anybody can do it. It's like, I got to be open-minded and skeptical.
But do you think the data exists? Here's a different question. Do you think that data exists?
That could convince a Mick West, or that could convince me?
Both.
Okay, so you're asking, can there be data that could convince me 100% or could convince Mick West 100%? I don't know for Mick West. I think you're right. I think that once you've made up your mind, it's very difficult to turn it around. You can always find something to be a fault in the logic or something to be a fault in the facts. For me, I mean, I don't know, if the phenomenon came to my house and, and it was broad daylight and, I shook hands with an interdimensional or extraterrestrial being, I think that would do it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a Hollywood FX company who's out to punk me. Yeah. But, who knows, right?
Right. Well, Rodrigo just said UFOs are on CNN again just now. And I believe Rodrigo's definitely. I just picture Rodrigo sitting in like one of those evil lair chairs with just like, you remember the architect in the Matrix when he's just in a room full of televisions and he could just at the flick of a pen pull up any memory. That is Rodrigo just sitting there watching every single UAP podcast, YouTube, news program all at the same time, and he can just whip it up. He's just like, on another level, dude. I don't know how you do it, Rodrigo, but I love you, man. Like, dude, you
Rodrigo's
are
the
insane at how good you are at consuming all of this, dude. How do you make money? Please message me, because I gotta get something like you, man, where I can do this stuff. Damn, dude. Okay.
Also, his profile pic is so X-Files. Like, it's so like it's so.
Are you part of the CIA, Rodrigo? I mean, he could just be like literally collecting information on all of us just to pass along the superiors.
Oh, I want to say
you're saying the CIA ain't in Portugal, Mikey?
That's a really good point.
Okay, all right, let's move on. So, rather be squidding, who, by the way, he's made an appointment to come on this show. So I cannot wait. The 100%, there's more data around Nimitz, Tic Tac incident, and others that could clear the air a lot. And I agree. I think that's what I was sort of alluding to when I asked the question. Do you think there is data that that is behind a classification that you would see, decipher, and go, oh my God, this is real?
Well, I mean, of the data I have seen, makes me go, wow, this is something incredible is going on here, right? I don't know what it is, but do I think there's more data that could further convince me of that there's something insane going on here? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if there's any data that could convince me of what that is. If it's ET or what are the interdimensional beings or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything, that I'm not aware of anything that could prove that to me. But I'm certainly sure. I'm certainly sure there, that there is data that could absolutely convince me that this is not human tech. Or natural phenomena we know about.
Right. I agree with you. I think there's just, I agree with what Rather said, in that I think the data that backs those videos is there that would clear up a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
And maybe really get the conversation going in a much more progressive way.
Which we need.
But Rodrigo says there's no CIA in Portugal. And then Katie Foster followed up with exactly what I was thinking. At Rodrigo, that's exactly what the CIA would say. and then he hits her back, Katie Foster, I can't confirm nor deny. CIA! Rodrigo's CIA. Damn.
I'm convinced of it.
Okay,
I need no more data.
So I got a couple more tweets I want to go over, and then I'm going to kick on the music. We're going to take some calls, so get ready for that. So I actually did, Michael, download the pictures from the Bloomberg article because you did send it, and I wanted to share what it looked like. So this is the Bloomberg article. I mean, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. So this is Bloomberg.com, and they put a picture of not even the real Spock and Kirk, some terrible cosplay versions of them as the picture for this article. Now, oh man, damn it, Bloomberg, damn it. It's like they're taking it seriously, but they're also kind of, it's like a backhanded compliment. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
It's kind of insulting, but it is hilarious. It is funny.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's so important. Not like you should be able, if you're somebody who's into science or tech or UAP or whatever. I know this is great,
but this is what you get when you click the article, dude. I mean, Jesus, man. Like, that's the picture you guys use. Like, you couldn't use a picture of the Tic Tac or part of the video from the FLIR cameras. This is what you went with. The parade at Roswell. Like, damn it, man. Damn it. It is funny, and I like that Bloomberg's covering it, but damn, I wish they would stop this stuff. Oh, I mean, it's funny. God damn it. I mean, that's like the worst paper mache alien, by the way. Whoever made these paper mache alien heads, man, that's bad.
Whenever, I mean, I think it's amazing. We talked about this earlier, the importance of taking the subject matter seriously, but not yourself seriously. And so I think that's helpful when looking at some of this stuff because, my God.
Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to bring everyone's attention to this. And I just noticed this today. So this is the Sean Cahill at Mini Hyperspace. Definitely follow him. The thing that I found very telling was his background for his Twitter page is the letter signed by Senator Harry Reid. So I was like, oh, okay, that's sort of like I got my boys back and here's the proof, So I just found that interesting. Nothing crazy, but he did have another tweet today, and this was it here. This was right after the article dropped. So Cahill drops the article. A lot of questions being asked. Have answers and clarification in the following article at Debrief. And then he linked the Debrief article in a tweet. And then Bob Pliskin, who's at Snake PO9, he is very big on Twitter, very active voice in the Twitterverse. He writes, EXO, please someone correct me if I'm wrong. The IG just put everyone on notice in subordinate commands. They want everything UAP, ... And they want GS-15 or higher as a point of contact. Basically, no more hiding and pony up. And so Cahill's response to that was he retweets it and he says, now that's a tasty tweet. So I was like, okay. Cahill seems like he's all in on this. And I think that's it's telling. It's just one of these telling things. And then this is the last tweet I wanted to share because I felt like this was also important too. McGowan put out a video response to the DOD, and when this memo dropped, and he has some theories. He had questions, and they were very good questions and very good theories. And I think something that people should be asking when they're interviewing a McMillan or they're trying to get answers on this, and you asked these questions because his whole thing is, hey, just keep calm. This could just be Rand Paul making a bunch of noise and getting the Inspector General.
I think did I say RuPaul in the?
I think you did because people were making fun of it. I didn't notice it. I
said Rand Paul, but I noticed the comments. They were like, "Why are you talking about RuPaul?" And I was like, "Did I say RuPaul?"
You might have. I don't know. I have to go back and watch it. But by the way, that's an interview that people are going to go back and watch 1,000 times because there's so much that McMillan gives in that interview. He's very thoughtful sometimes, where he really just sits back, thinks about how he's going to answer the question, and then answers it. I cannot wait to go back and rewatch and maybe get some more nuggets that we maybe missed, because I have a feeling there's a lot of those nuggets in that conversation, and people are going to be playing it backwards trying to get information out of it. Like, that was a killer interview, but what McGowan did is he put out a video, right? Basically going into detail about what he thinks this could possibly be and just trying to manage expectations for everybody. But he does it in a way where it seems like he might be pissing on your parade. So he writes, and I retweeted this video that he put out because I thought he made some good points. But after about the first hour and a half of this going around, and after he got some responses to his concerns, he then wrote and retweeted the video. He then wrote, so I initially put out this video with the link. Now with more information, there is over an 80% chance that what I was saying here was 100% wrong.
Wow.
It may as well be this. It may as well be that the Senate Armed Services Committee is upset at stonewalling between departments and triggered the IG evaluation.
See, that's what I'm the most curious about. That's what I think as well. That's if I had to guess, if I had to make if I had to draw my line in the sand, that would be my guess. Is that the IG is going, this is turning into a shit show. We've got idiots out there doing the big phone home.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop this. If for nothing else, to not have another big phone home.
If I could see that stupid Cuban face never again, that would be probably the goal of the Inspector General. And I don't blame him. Like, I'm right up your ass, buddy. Like, I mean, here's why. Well, the reason why I pointed it out was because I want to just let everybody know these are great questions, and it's also a wonderful example of what to do when you're presented with answers or new information. And that is just course correct. Course correct. And that's exactly what McGowan did. And that's the way it's got to be. I thought it was just a beautiful example of being able to listen to a different viewpoint and go, oh yeah, maybe I had that wrong. Let me just correct myself. So that way it doesn't piss anybody off. And I thought it was a very beautiful thing to do. And so I just wanted to call that out because there was a lot of stuff going on Twitter, and that stuck out to me. And he still makes a good point. You know, is it the Senate Armed Services Committee is upset at stonewalling between departments? And here's the thing, is now we have committees. We had these committees in our call list anyway, but now they're calling them out. So now we go, okay, well, not only could we really get up the ass of the Senate Intelligence Committee, but number 2 on the list should be the Armed Services Committee now. And I got both of those lists with both co-chairs and vice chair, or chairs and vice chairs, all of them, their Twitter, their phone numbers, all of it. So if you want to do something, get in the Armed Services Committee. Get in the Senate Intelligence Committee. Because if this is annoying them, as Jazz, kind of hinted at, like, that's a good thing. If we help move the ball on this, that's a good thing. I will never, ever, ever claim that because, in my opinion, I think these wheels were in motion months ago. This Inspector General news, though, this seems quite out of nowhere. I don't know if anybody was really expecting this, if this was part of the plan, but going back to what you said, I wonder if this is the Armed Services Committee getting in the Inspector General's ear. And then he's looking at this
today as well. He said that's exactly who you should be looking at when it comes to this being pushed, because that's exactly who's holding the power here, and that's who would be the most frustrated. So it's a really, really interesting theory. It's a great point, and that would be my guess as well if I had to make a guess.
Yeah, I mean, we have to wait.
And good for McGowan for being like, okay, new data, new information. And again, we talked about this the other day. It's scientific method, right? You gather data, you make a hypothesis, you test that hypothesis, you come back and do it again and again and again and again. And I think if we're operating truly from that perspective, then we're going to be much better off for it. And I applaud McGowan for going back and updating what he said based on new data, because that's the way to play this game.
And I know on the surface this show really seems real silly, and we're having a good time and we have a lot of laughs, and I'm wearing a tie with a t-shirt and I'm busting Michael's chops, but we always come back to the scientific method. We always come back to reality here. And we can have fun with this topic. And it was nice to see Tim McMillan having some fun today.
It was.
I love that. This is what it's about, man. This can be fun. We can have fun and talk about this and
take the subject seriously and don't take yourself too seriously. Correct. And I think that's the best advice when it comes to this topic or any other thing in life. Take it seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah, no,
we're changing things. We're changing the conversation. We're having a killer time doing it. And look, dude, we ain't stopping. Like, we're not stopping. Like, this is never going to stop. You think this show's going to end tomorrow? It's the first thing I did when I saw that tweet or the letter or the memo from the Inspector General, what'd I do? I followed the Inspector General on Twitter and I requested an interview. You never know. You never know, you guys. Oh, great. UFO Dad's in the chat.
I know within the next 6 months, you're going to come up with some wild interviews that nobody would ever have expected you to come up with.
Dude, because I tell you what, man, it's the same reason why governors and senators and people with real power would go on Jon Stewart. Because he's providing, he's taking the topic seriously, but he's not taking himself seriously.
Right.
And again, his show was let in with puppets making crank calls. But the fact that you had President Obama went on his show.
Right.
We could do that here. Why not? Why not? Why can't we take the topic seriously and have fun with it? dude, I don't want to do nothing if there's no fun. I can't have a good time with my buddies.
I'm right there with you, bro.
You know, so
right there with you.
What I'm gonna do is speaking of buddies, I'm gonna throw the StreamYard link in the chat. If you want to come join us, please do. We're probably gonna stick around for another 15 minutes. Mikey, is that good with you?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
15, 20 minutes. You know, we didn't have a longer show because we didn't have as many opinions today because, you know, people have lives. But I'm glad Jazz was here. By the way, Jazz's links are all in the description below. Michael's links are all in the description below. If you're going to call in, do us a favor. Please be on a Wi-Fi signal. Don't be naked and turn down the volume of your show on YouTube. If you come in here and you have an echo, just back out and hit the link again. And you'll be good. So, Mikey.
Yo.
What do you think, dude? Is this the big? Do you think this is the biggest story since the 2017 New York Times article?
Oh, that's a great question. So there's different components, right? I mean, the components of the New York Times article were like, look, these objects are being tracked by the military. You know, that's a huge piece. When you have the IG come in and say, "Hey guys, we need to know what's going on between departments about UAPs," that's also a big deal, but it's not the same.
Did they put a time limit on it? Did I hear that right? That it's 10 days they have to respond?
5 days in order to appoint somebody at I can't remember what the level was, but they have 5 days to come back to the IG and appoint a direct report to the IG on the UAP topic. So it's got to be someone who is in the know in each GS-15. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
GS-15 or higher. So that's extraordinary. And Aaron, I heard you on I'll figure out what's going on with Cocktails and Calamity. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But man, this is huge. I mean, it's a big deal. And again, like I shared McGowan's reservations early on. Is this an audit? Are we going after these organizations because they're wasting money chasing little green men, right? Yeah. You know, I don't think so. You know, again, I don't have any inside information. I shared everything I have with you guys today in my interview with Tim McMillan on the Debrief. Go check out that interview, by the way. If you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed to the Debrief. Go check out that interview that I did with Tim McMillan today on this breaking story that he broke at the Debrief today. Go check that out. But he laid it out, man. He thinks this is a big deal, and he doesn't think it's a penny pinching operation by any stretch of the imagination.
The way he described it to McGowan was it's a double, it's a pincher attack. It's coming from two sides. This is part of a pincher. You know, so
what are the two sides?
Well, I don't know, but he said, think of this information drop. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but think of it as sort of like, you know, two arms coming in to squeeze the information, so it can't wiggle out.
Right.
And this Inspector General part is part of that pincer.
Part of that pincer.
So we've got Matthew Trepanier, who's donated $6.99 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much, Matthew. French Canadian, Trepanier. But you didn't leave a comment, man. Next time, leave a comment so we can read it out loud. But thank you for the support, man. This chat today was awesome with the dollars, man. Awesome, and we've got somebody in the chat. So let's bring him in. Sneaky Toaster, are you there?
Yes. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing very well now that you've called us. Yeah.
Okay?
No, we hear you great. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So Sneaky, thank you so much for coming aboard, getting weird with us here on another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review. What can we do for you today, my dude?
So first off, let me just say I am a big fan of the Debrief, right? I've been definitely checking out a lot of the content that's been created, over the last, going on almost a year or some change that, the Debrief has been around. Definitely like the direction everything's headed with the topic. I can't really comment too much to my background, but I had a couple questions directly for you two.
That was so cryptic.
Yeah, it was pretty cryptic. He is a sneaky toaster.
Right. So I can go to this direction. So I just completed my undergrad in communications.
Congratulations.
I was telling some other people in the chat that in my program, actually, I was able to look a little deeper into the UAP topic, specifically how ET has been represented in our media, right? As far as our film, our written texts over different times in history. And I also synthesized and brought in, the current conversation piece. And so the questions that I had for you guys was dealing more with, I'm sure you've seen the Phenomenon by James Fox, of course, probably many people have. And as most of us are aware, Jacques Vallée has been working with Gary Nolan at Stanford Research Institute, kind of in depth as far as analysis of alleged material. Now, we did see, obviously, that there was supposed to be a book by Jacques Vallée, kind of co-authored with Gary Nolan. And I don't have a Twitter myself, but I have been watching. I scroll through Twitter, if you will. I'm a consumer, not a content creator. And it was pulled from Amazon. And I think there was a lot of speculation over what may or may not have been surrounding that. Was that a Jacques Vallée move? Was that hey, there's other things in the pipeline here that we are slowly getting more acquainted to as far as a public, as far as the topic and the conversation where it's going. So one of the questions was going to be to you gentlemen, do you know any information on that, or have you seen or heard anything in the sense of, pardon me, Jacques Vallée was coming out with some analysis of the material. And that could be, again, nothing, like you said, a nothing burger. I kind of like that phrase, pretty awesome. But it could be something. And again, I think Jacques Vallée's his background kind of speaks for itself, right? As far as dealing in the 60s and 70s and onward, for just being, almost an anthropological study of the phenomena, cross countries. He's gone to Brazil, Russia, America, right? He's gone to France. And so I guess, did you both know of that the book was pulled? It's called The Best Kept Secret.
Yep.
That was, and I'll pause there if you will. Thanks for letting me have a moment.
Dude, yeah, no worries, man. Thank you for calling, asking the question. I think it's a good question. I don't have the answer to it. I did hear about it. I'm curious just as you are. Why was it pulled? It's something I actually meant to talk about today, but because we didn't have a ton of info on it, I didn't want to talk about it, but you brought it up, so let's talk about it. I have no clue. You say it was pulled by Amazon?
So I did see some tweets. Some individuals called into, I guess, customer service, and they got. I don't know if they got a runaround. It's all speculation, everyone. I don't want to claim that this is the truth. Right. But that Jacques potentially pulled the book for a self-publishing kind of situation instead of letting Amazon distribute it. I don't know. I just looked at the timing of it. It just kind of all seemed a little odd, if you will. Yeah. Given the. We had obviously the IG statement today is very interesting. And I appreciate you guys being transparent and just sharing. Hey, we don't really know. Yeah, it's not available on Amazon. That one comment stated. And maybe it'll come back at some other time. Maybe it's a time thing. I mean,
right? They wrote the book.
Yeah.
If the book's got a cover, it's got a publisher.
It does.
I don't know because I'm not familiar with the with publishing books aspect of things, but from a film aspect of things, I have seen films get shot, filmed, put in the can, get a distributor, and then the film never gets seen.
Right.
So that does happen from a film aspect. I've never heard about that from a book aspect, but it wouldn't shock me.
It's just something of interest. It's just something interesting to keep in mind and like look to the future here and say like, well, what is there to share knowledge within there? The other question I'm going to leave you to with, and I don't want to take up.
Hold on. Before you move, no. Before you move on, I'm.
By the way, Katie, we see you. We're going to get to you. Don't worry about it. I just want to make sure you don't leave.
I'm crazy Googling as you're asking this question because I have zero insight into it. But it is interesting because I just found it on Goodreads. It's not on Amazon, but it is on Goodreads.
For the Best Kept Secret, sir?
Yeah, The Best Kept Secret.
Okay.
Groundbreaking research reveals new UFO history by Jacques Vallée, published March 4th, 2021. So today, but there's no, Amazon. Oh, let's see if it goes Amazon UK. There's a link to Amazon UK, and nope, not there.
It's just something to dig into maybe a little further. It might actually have some validity to it. and something of interest. If I can, one other quick question.
Bizarre.
One
Go
brief
for it.
question.
Yeah, fine.
So we see obviously there are a couple indicators here, and if the phenomena was another kind of good indicator, James Fox and Jacques Vallée specifically pointed towards a specific organization, a specific entity, and I can name it because I'm not affiliated, but Battelle Labs, right, was named and kind of pointed at.
Yeah.
The conversation that I have is, do you think we'll see, any type of, because the UAP task force is going to produce its thing, we're gonna maybe get some crumbs or some substance depending on what that is. Do we think we may see some of our, did we say celebrities? How do we refer to, like Luis Elizondo,
Right.
Chris Mellon, Harry Reid, obviously are very key individuals, not unlike yourselves in the sense of, putting this conversation forward, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But do we anticipate seeing an official capacity where statements will be provided to Congress potentially by said individuals? I know that they've already, Luis Elizondo has already publicly stated he's already been in and out of DC for multiple different reasons over the last year or two, right?
Yeah.
He also has a security clearance re-up. That's another piece of all of this. But the thing that really interested me was, people were speculating Lou's statement to the New Yorker the other day when that kind of podcast video thing released. It was specifically, if there's a continuation of denying his involvement in said subject or program, that would be a mistake. Right? I don't know if either one of you saw that or heard that, and someone kind of keyed in and keyed up on that. It's the sense that, no one likes defamation of character.
Right.
And we've seen a little bit of a cat and mouse game, if we can call it that, as far as in a public relations, public affairs stance on this topic. But I would be curious to know if you do have the Inspector General being willing to subpoena individuals or bring people out of the woodwork. We've already had the statement that Harry Reid has allegedly claimed that when he was in the position of being a senator, he did try to acquire some more insight to different things about the phenomena, or just the topic in general, and was somewhat denied access allegedly. And we're not saying that's true or false, but you have this thing going now where you have multiple people going and appearing, on Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman, you have, or your own shows, if I will. I just wonder if you could speculate, because that's part of the fun of all this.
Yeah.
But the speculation of, do we think we could see? We might not, as the public, get to hear the testimony, but do you think that they could become subpoenaed to provide that firsthand account testimony over and out?
Thank you, Sneaky Toaster, dude. That's a killer question. There's a lot that's going on there. We're gonna bring in Katie. Maybe she has some thoughts. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Thank you for being here. We're gonna bring Andrew in a second. That's a loaded question. If this information is stuck behind Battelle, I don't think we see it. Now, if they get subpoenaed.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because whether or not,
question. I mean, but I got to tell you, for somebody to be subpoenaed, you better have some smoking gun type evidence before you bring somebody with a subpoena. No,
I don't think so.
No,
I think
I'm just saying, if you do the subpoena and it's nothing, you're gonna look like a fool.
Right, but I would definitely think I get your point. You would want to have some reason. You would want to have evidence that you believe this person could support with a subpoena and bring corroborating evidence. But at the same time, like, if even if you have that inkling, you need to get to the bottom of it. Subpoenaing someone, there's nothing that's gonna backfire in your face. Ultimately, it's just you hope to get in some information, you didn't. But I think that that's really,
it's a killer question.
I don't think we're gonna get the info, obviously. But that could very much
be a killer question. I'd like to see subpoenas on I would just like to see subpoenas for sure. But Katie, you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think I sure do, actually. I think that I try to think from the perspective of the Pentagon with all the situation. And I think, in short, it's basically toothpaste coming out of the bag that government has lied for a long time in the period when people are already having very little trust in the government. So they have two options. Again, try to, hide the whole thing, put it back in the tube and say, there's nothing to see here, which would erode the trust even further. And they can do the opposite and say, and actually pull the whole thing out. They can actually show, it was just parts of the government that were the problem. We are the good guys and you should still trust us. But for that, they will have to pull things out. The heads will have to fall, like not literally, obviously, but
yeah.
And I think for them, it's kind of, do you push people towards, I mean, a revolutionary kind of scenario where everyone's angry with the government?
Yeah.
Or do you try to, simmer everything down and, push a few people under the bus, but save the face of the whole government?
Yeah.
I think from that perspective, it's kind of, I mean, I know what I would choose in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like the answer is clear. It's for me at least. It seems like if you're a leader with real vision, it seems like it's pretty easy, and that's why I look at Marco Rubio and I'm like, man, this guy's really laying out the playbook. But real quick, we've got Joe Murgia in the house, UFO Joe. He's added to the stream, and I don't want him waiting too long because I know he's on the road. So Andrew, give me a thumbs up if I could skip you real quick and get Joe in here because I wanted to get his opinions. And well, actually, we'll probably end up bringing you in here. But before we do that, Katie, you had a question. What do you got?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit tangential. Yeah. Considering lately how long this UAP subject has been covered in USA, which is by now about 3 years, in Europe and other places of the world, it's almost zero.
Yeah.
So if the report or whatever comes out is kind of, the smoking gun level where it's a bombshell and people, suddenly have to digest all of these news, for you guys in US, you had quite some time to prepare. Here, it's gonna hit like a bus.
It's a good point. That's a good point. But you want to know something? That's why you guys we had a meeting earlier today, and one of the things that was brought up is that there's a thirst for a big phone home in the UK. And if somebody over there wants to start organizing that, I will show you how I did it. It's not that difficult. I'll even participate and help you guys. If you guys want to do a big phone home over there, just ask, and I'm in.
Me and Citizen Witness would be happy to do it.
Yeah, well, go for it.
But I don't mind taking the lead for it either.
Go for it. Go for it, Katie. If you want to pick up the torch on that, run. And I don't think you'll be alone. There's going to be a lot of people backing you up, and where I would start is a UAP Media UK. If you guys are thirsty for it, ask for it. I think you're right. If something bombshell-like happens here, I think that's gonna smack you guys in the face like a
people didn't have any preparation, and since the big phone home, I tried talking with a lot of people, and they have no clue.
No clue.
They are still living in the world where this thing is just fairy tales.
That's how you pitch it to your representatives. If you guys don't talk about this, this is gonna hit people wrong, like we sent
letters, and they responded that pretty much nothing to see
going.
There.
Don't stop, Katie. Don't stop. Just because they send you the boilerplate letter, don't stop, darling. You keep going. And do a big phone home. We got to be relentless. We're gonna hit road bumps. But I thank you so much for stopping by and getting weird with us. Don't ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to call back in again. I'm so happy you're part of the show. I'm so happy you're part of the chat. I'm so happy you're part of the big phone home. Thank you, my lady. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Great to meet you, Katie.
See you. Bye.
All right, bye.
I love these folks.
Dude, this is insane. Okay, you know what? Let's bring in Joe. Let's add him to the stream. Joe, what's happening? Let's add Andrew Hall. Let's get them both in here at the same time. So, Joe, you're on the road. I told you, I reached out to you today because I was like, dude, do you want to talk about, your article on Senator Harry Reid? Because I want people to read your stuff before it gets pushed out of the news stream. And I think because this Harry Reid story is a very important part of Miraculous Bay, as UFO Jesus likes to call it. So first of all, Joe, thank you for showing up, dude. Thanks for stopping by. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Let me know if you can't hear me because you guys are breaking up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you for sure. I'll turn down the music on my end so that way it's a little more clear. But Joe, just real quick, because I know you don't have a lot of time, can you give us your 2 cents on these Harry Reid comments? What do we know is fact? What can we hang our hat on here, and why should people either be excited or maybe manage their expectations a little bit?
Well, Senator Harry Reid was quoted in the New Yorker article and on the podcast saying that for decades he's been told by, I assume, people who he deems credible, that Lockheed Martin had materials from a UFO. And he said that he went, I think it was 2009. I'm not sure if he looked in 2009, but he tried to look. He tried to turn OSAP, which first program started back in 2008. He tried to turn that program into an SAP, Special Access Program. One of the reasons was so we can get access to that information and see what they have. So he went to the Pentagon and said, listen, I heard from reliable sources that Lockheed has materials. I'd like to take a look. And he said they denied him, and they didn't give him a. They said no. So Lockheed has been one of the companies that comes up a lot over the years. In my first blog about Wilson Davis, Tim McMillan mentioned one of the sources that worked for BASS, which was a company that Bigelow started. OSAP program started. They're the ones that were the subcontractors on that program, or the contract on that program. He said one of those sources said that they had some of the materials there, and then I ran that by Dr. Eric Davis, and he said no, that information is old, it's outdated. So I was like, okay, well, it's not Lockheed. But then you hear Harry Reid come out and say, well, he was told it's Lockheed. So obviously, people are like, well, there's no proof of that. I'm like, yeah, there's not. Maybe Lockheed had nothing to do with it. Maybe Lockheed in the past did have materials. I was told that there was stuff that was moved. I don't know exactly when that happened, but we don't have. And I tell people I don't have any proof of any of this. It's just anecdotes from people. But Dr. Eric Davis, who I trust, he's done this. He's been researching the crash retrieval program since at least 2002, if you believe he met with Admiral Wilson. There are people that don't believe he met with Wilson. They think it's either a movie script, or Tim McMillan suggested that maybe it was a fake Admiral Wilson that fooled him, which I'll tell you right now, Eric Davis would never be fooled like that. He's too smart. He's too meticulous, does his homework. And it's not just Eric Davis. And I don't know names, but I know there are other people that are just as confident that there's a crash retrieval program as Eric Davis. And it's not, and some of those people are no longer alive, but this is going on for a long time. It's just words right now. Elizondo in my blog, I quote him talking about Eric Davis and how credible he is and how he cannot lie, and how if he says something, take it to the bank. But it's great, it's interesting, but we need to get into this program. We need to see it. I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting, but I don't know. Last year I thought, all right, it's going to happen, and I was a little overzealous with that. I don't think we're close to getting to see an intact craft if that's what they have. But then you have Jacques Vallée's book coming out, and he was in that NIDS circle, and I believe a lot of the NIDS people knew about the meeting between Davis and Wilson. It's almost like it's among those people. It's like it happened. It's not a question. The only question in my mind is, was the person who Wilson went to at the Special Access Program. I don't know how many people are well aware of the story. In 1997, Wilson was told where to look for a Special Access Program that dealt with UFOs and retrieved materials. Mm-hmm. He found the program, went there, and they denied him access, saying, "You don't have the need to know. I'm sorry." So
losing Joe a little bit.
Yeah. That's where we are. He stated, if you listen to Bob McGuire, I'm not sure if people are aware of him. In 2005, which was 3 years after Wilson and Davis allegedly met, Bob McGuire said he saw a letter from Wilson, and he was still upset that he was turned down into the SAP. He's like, he was a Joint Chiefs of Staff. I think it was a J2 in charge of intelligence, and he's like, I should have oversight on this. But they were like, sorry, you don't meet the criteria. He's like, well, what's the criteria? They're like, we can't tell you that. So, It's messed up. If this is how all the good UFO stuff is being kept, in a private corporation where it's almost impossible to get access if they don't want us to have access. In my original blog, I have a source who explains how they keep it hidden. They use a shell company, and it's almost unless you know where to look, it's impossible to find it. And then Eric Davis was brought on Capitol Hill, and I think it was 2019, and he spoke to people. You don't get to Capitol Hill unless your information is solid, and you'll see in the blog that Christopher Mellon, who's come a long way on this topic, he's like, we need to look, we need to take this seriously. And, Eric provided information for those people to look into and see if it's legitimate. So that's where we are. And the fact that Reed mentioned Lockheed last year, that was a big deal because I didn't think he would do that. But last year, I spoke to George Knapp, investigative reporter George Knapp, and said, I have been looking for this. I've been hearing this for decades. And I went and looked, and the Pentagon turned me down. Last year, he didn't say Lockheed. This year, he did. So, and Reed has waffled just a little bit. I called into a show, I think it was last year, and I said, Luis Elizondo said that we have, he believes we have debris from a UFO in the government's possession. And Reed's like, I don't know who you heard it from, but I don't believe that. And with Reed, I think it's a word game with him. It's like, he doesn't believe it. He doesn't know it. But I think he's spoken to enough people who he suspects that's the case. So that's where we are. We don't have it. It's not proven. I don't know how we prove it. Back in 2000, I called into a show with Will Miller, who's in my first mega blog on Wilson Davis. And I said, how do we do this, Will? If there's an illegal program with no oversight, how do we get access? How do we break through that wall? And he's like, contact your attorney general. It's like, obviously at this point we're on a national scale, and I'm hoping something, I don't think that the 180-day report will mention it. But at least we're on that road now. And I'm really curious to see what comes out with Valet's book. Eric Davis can't talk about it. He said that anything classified, under Obama or Trump, if you even broach that subject, you're taking a risk. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get prosecuted. So he won't talk. Elizondo said he wasn't there. But it's not uncommon for people higher up to be, not let into a special access program because they don't have a need to know. Even presidents, some presidents, Clinton said he went to look for UFO stuff, and he said, he couldn't find out anything.
We hear that all the time about presidents and people in positions of power not being able to access this information. So, I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on, because I know you know this topic inside and out. You know what, Joe, you need to come back maybe next week and let's really dive into what's going on here, because I know you're trying to have fun. I hear people laughing in the background, so I have a feeling you're like at a barbecue or something. But dude, I love that you called in. And Joe, anytime.
Yeah, it's like a barbecue. It's like that.
No, it's all good, dude. Don't sweat it, man. We appreciate your time. But anytime you have a blog drop, please do me the favor, contact me, and I'll make sure to get you on the show the day of, so we can talk about it and point people to your work, because I think it's really good stuff. And I mean, you're called one of the young guns for a reason, man. So, I want to make sure that people know how to read your blog. So I've included your link in the description below. You can find all of Joe's stuff. I've got his Twitter there, and inside his Twitter, you can check out his blog, ufojoe.net. So with that said, Joe, is there anything you want to leave us on? Nope.
No, thanks for having me. And, I just try to collect information that there's so much stuff going on that you can't keep up. So I try to, if I hear something that's new, I'll mark it down and I'll try to transcribe it so other researchers can use it and, and use those quotes. And that's basically what I did. And it was just going to be, I was just going to transcribe Harry Reid in the podcast with the New Yorker and then add some little, a little bit in, and it turned into be, it's like 13,000 words. Some of it's from my old blog, but there's some interesting stuff in there, but no smoking gun yet, but there's a lot of smoke, no fire, but there's a lot of smoke. It's
fun.
I thought we'd have a letdown, Lou. I thought we'd have a letdown and nothing would happen, but it's continuing to happen. This is great. There's so much stuff going on, but
miraculous May, Joe, miraculous May, baby. I'm glad you were here, my dude. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice to hear you, Joe.
I can't wait.
Dude, that was killer. I thought he was on a little bit of an echo, so I'm glad that worked out. I'm so happy he called in. Andrew, what's happening?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. Always just very, very calm, very cool. Cool as a cucumber, Mr. Andrew Hall. just being as patient as possible. He'll be our last call for the night, you guys. So thank you everyone who's called in. Thank you everyone who's donated to this chat. Another successful donation show where you guys are just killing it with the donos. Mr. Andrew Hall.
Hey, well, thanks for having me on, Luis.
And by the way, right? the kids keep on coming. If you guys don't know who Andrew Hall is, he's got a show called Dead Hand Radio that's on every Mondays and Saturdays.
Yes.
Every Mondays and Saturdays
Mondays,
at what's
5 p.m., Saturdays, 7 p.m.
There you go. Check out his show. He just had a really killer interview with a Vice journalist. What was his name again?
Daniel Otis.
Daniel Otis. That's right. Daniel's going to be coming on the show, Michael, in the next week or two.
Yeah,
he's writing some killer articles.
Another young gun, man. That dude's got a huge platform.
Yeah,
he's connected with some major media outlets,
and he likes the show. So,
right.
So that's also fun.
Yeah, you got to bring him on here, man.
That's
exposed
definitely happening. Definitely happening. So, Andrew, what do you got for us today, my dude?
I just I'm not a researcher. I'm not an investigator. I listen. I ask a bunch of questions. But what I also do is I like to point people in the direction of what other people are doing, especially when it relates to something like this. And George Knapp just posted out that tweet about Harry Reid being excited about this IG. And could you take me off of I hate that, man. I hate being solo.
Man. Okay.
I don't like
wow. So we just learned something about Andrew. I was like, you're giving you a voice, man. I hate being in the spotlight. You have a show.
Yeah, but it's me and a guest, man.
Oh man, I love how he's producing my show, though. All right, go on. Sorry.
Right on. Thanks for making me smaller. So he apparently there's going to be more information coming out from Harry Reid on MysteryWire.com. So keep an eye on that. But I also think Jeremy McGowan needs to get in contact with Colonel Alexander and see if he can get a quote from him on this, and then come on your show and talk about it.
Well, we're trying to get Colonel Alexander on the show. McGowan's working on it for us right now as we speak. As far as I know, that's going pretty good, but let's see if we can get a date in the books.
That would be cool to hear from him firsthand what his thoughts are on a lot of these things. Skinwalker Ranch, he spent time out there, which, that's one of the most interesting places on the planet, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, Andrew, people are asking in the chat that Dead Hand Radio is not on YouTube. And I have a feeling that you had maybe 2 channels or something like that, and one of them you ended and started a new one. Is that right?
That's true, yeah.
Okay, make sure, can you tell us exactly where folks can find your YouTube channel? That way they can find you.
Deadhand.tv. And that link redirects you right to the YouTube channel.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thanks. Thanks for doing that.
Dude, no sweat, brother. We love you here, man. We want you around more because I like your perspectives. I like your questions. Cool. So George Knapp is bringing attention to this. So I'm kind of curious what Knapp has to say on this front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably be doing a coast to coast pretty soon.
You know what? I saw another perspective of somebody who's pretty well known in the UFO community, and that is Ryan Sprague. He posted a key points post on his Twitter feed, and he just highlighted some of the things that were interesting to him. And great interview today, Mike. I watched most of it with Tim McMillan, the author of that article. Awesome interview, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Sure, but
Tim's a beast.
Yeah, man. That guy is just like. I don't know what to say, but he's a researcher, a rigorous researcher and investigator, and he makes sure before he puts something out that it's accurate. Yep. That's one thing I can say about him. Everything I've read of his is absolutely accurate, and his writings are interesting.
I'd like to get his thoughts on Eric Davis that Joe Murgia was talking about. He's the guy who was quoted as the famous quote that's been going around the last year and a half is, off-world vehicles not made of this earth. That was his quote, and that's a quote that he gave to Congress members. So why he said that, what's in that report? I'm curious to know what Tim knows about it.
The Times reported on that as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious if through this probe, the IG probe, if this Wilson document issue comes up, can they actually subpoena Eric Davis or Admiral Wilson, to come in and talk about that stuff? That would be interesting to find out. I don't know who you could even ask to find out that question.
Yeah. No,
maybe you could ask Tim.
Tim would probably have a pretty decent idea.
Yeah. He might.
That's something I bet Jazz can answer.
True. Yeah.
I wish we had him on the show when that question came up, because it's a damn good one.
Jazz is a wealth.
Mikey, can you do me a favor? Write that down. Let's ask him tomorrow. Because I think that's a killer question.
I got it written down, man. I'll let's see.
Yeah, if you can remind us.
Send it over after.
Yeah. All right. Well, dude, before you go, do us a favor. Please tell everyone where they can find your channel and show.
Website is andrewhall.com, right there in my name. Mm-hmm. That's the best place to find all my stuff. There's links to my
I'm going to blow it up so people
Twitter.
can see it. Just so people can see it. Go ahead. Cover your face, Andrew. Just cover your face. There you go. All right. andrewhall.com. All right, dude. Well, thanks for being cool. Thanks for stopping by, my man.
Appreciate you letting me come in here and say a few words, man.
Anytime, man. Anytime. You know the door's always open for you, especially since you put me on your damn show every time. All right,
hey,
dude.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Dude, you're a gem of a man. We'll talk soon.
Hey,
good to see you, Andrew.
Take care, guys. You too, Mike.
All right. Bye.
Mikey, that's a great show, man. A lot of good info today. Fun times. Probably the biggest day in UAP history.
It's
definitely a historic event.
It's a historic event.
Yeah.
If there are mountains and molehills along this journey, today was a mountain. And we may get more. We may get another one.
It's not done.
It's
not done. Dude, it's not done. Tomorrow we get Rogan. We get Skinwalker Ranch premiere. We still got one, at least according to Jazz, maybe one big other drop. So, woo! Miraculous May, baby. Miraculous May. Miraculous May.
Amazing.
Mikey, before you go, you know the deal, dude. Tell people what we're doing tomorrow, where they can find your stuff. All that good stuff.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So hit me on Twitter at Calamity Mike. I'm actually searching for a new handle to go with the new show, so I'll let you know how that goes.
In
the
Singularity
description
Lab?
below, hit the Linktree. Make sure you go to Cocktails of Calamity. Hit the notifications. So they keep saying that it says it's on made for children or child lock or something, and I'm trying to figure that out. So I'll let you guys know. I'll get that fixed, I promise. But Mr. Sin, I am also hyped about tomorrow. We're gonna go watch Skinwalker Ranch tonight. We're gonna come back tomorrow, and I have to tell you, and I told you this before, Luis.
Yep.
I have not watched season 1. I'm gonna watch the recap here in a second. I'm gonna watch. I may be the one that's coming back. I may have to wear my suit and tie tomorrow and be the skeptical guy, because we'll see.
If you show up in a suit and tie tomorrow,
we'll see.
Oh boy,
I may have to get skeptical.
Boy. Well, hey, dude, look, I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna have a blast covering this show.
It's gonna be fun.
The dragon, honestly, I think they'll give you a recap that'll give you a very good taste of what you're getting into season 2. So that way you don't have to go back and watch season 1.
Yeah.
Which you probably won't. I have a feeling you're not going to anyway.
A good recap. That would be,
Yeah, I think they'll give a good recap. I love it. I love this show, baby. Okay. So, Michael, dude, thanks for stopping by. Excellent work today. I can't wait for tomorrow's episode because, dude, wait till you get a load of the dragon, my man.
I can't wait. I can't wait to meet the dragon.
Woo!
Luis, keep up the amazing work. I'm so impressed, so proud, so thrilled.
You know what I wanted to say?
Sorry. Fist bumping you.
Dude, I always cut you off. God damn it, Michael. I'm sorry. And you were sitting there giving me a compliment. But what I was gonna say. No. Remember when we were talking about pre-show where you're just like, man, was this a stupid, was this a dumb little idea that I tried to execute? And are people looking at me like I'm a dum-dum? And then Jazz Shaw comes in here and it's like, you actually might have had something to do with it, kiddo. That was cool. Especially coming from him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I know you were about saying something nice, but that just reminded me.
To you and about you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, but I again,
forget it.
Just
He's out of here. He's gone. He's gone. No, Mike, please come back. Please. All right. He's gone. You guys. Oh, you guys. What a damn fun day. What a damn fun day. This is one for the books. Again, remember, all of these things coming out, the 48 people that are here now, thank you for sticking around. To the other 80 something that showed up, too bad you're still not around. I'm sure you had stuff to do. Please come back and watch the rest of the show. You can't hear me now because you're not here. But what I was going to say was, and I keep looking here instead of here. What I was going to say was keep doing your thing. Keep going. It's working, you guys. Like, we might be making some change here. And we can't do it without you. Like, we just can't. Damn. Dude, this process, again, keep in mind, it's not for us. It's for everyone else. So don't get frustrated with it. Don't get mad at it. Embrace it. Let's have fun with it. Let's talk about it from every angle we can. Let's try to keep it as scientific as we can. And we're doing that. We're having a good time doing it. So, again, thank you, all of you. I want to say thank you to the sponsor, BlueMarlinChronicles.com, UFO Dad, purveyors of the world's finest fishing tackle since 1995. I want to say thank you to the one and only DOS Tapes. They provide all of the music that you hear on the show. Their SoundCloud link is in the description below. You guys, or not SoundCloud, it's a Bandcamp link. Thank you again for coming aboard, getting weird with me here, and Michael on another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UFOs. I'm going to let this jam play out, end the stream. I want to say I love you guys. Be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow for the episode 1, season 2 review of The Secret of Skinwalker. Later, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. We love you all. See you tomorrow.